Everyone who follows Golden State knows deep down that this team is one move away from scaring the NBA again. You don't need to open a spreadsheet. You don't need to quote advanced stats. You just have to watch a few minutes when the main core is on the floor together to realize there is still some powerful basketball there. When the veterans line up, the ball moves, the cuts appear, the defense speaks loud, and the arena gets that feeling again that any opponent can crumble in a matter of minutes. The problem is that this happens less and less, not because they forgot how to play, but because in practice, it is almost impossible to keep everyone healthy, rested, and at their physical peak for an entire season. And that is where the big frustration for the fan comes in. You look at the top of the Western Conference, and you see teams that are physically more complete, taller, stronger in the paint, with a younger supporting cast. Golden State still has the genius who can change any game with 2 shots from near half court. It still has the defensive brain that organizes everything at the back, but the rest around them does not keep up with the same consistency. The moments when everything clicks are brilliant, but they are rare. And in a league as cruel as the NBA, living only off flashes is not enough to fight for a title. That is why, behind the scenes, the conversation is no longer whether the team is thinking about a trade. The real discussion is another. This roster needs, in an almost urgent way, a deep change in order to compete again with the Western Giants. It is not just about making a move to please the fan base or generate a headline. The general feeling is that the next step will define whether Golden State will still have a few more years with a window open, or whether it will finally accept that the cycle of big nights is coming to an end. And this is the point where Jonathan Kuminga's name appears like a sort of ghost that everyone pretends not to see but knows is there. For a long time, the official line was clear. He would be the link between the championship core and the future, the player who would carry the franchise when the veteran nucleus started to slow down. The contract extension came as a vote of confidence, a message that the front office believed in his star potential. But along with that commitment came a silent truth. If at any moment the team needed a major piece to match the last competitive breath of this core, Kuminga would be the main chip on the table. This is not just the opinion of fans or passionate commentators. Executives from other teams, speaking anonymously, have already said that Kuminga is one of the most valuable trade assets in the entire league. He is young, athletic, explosive, with flashes of high-level scoring, and the ability to guard multiple positions. For any franchise that wants to speed up a rebuild, this is exactly the kind of player you want to receive in exchange for an expensive veteran. And this is where the dilemma starts to become cruel for Golden State. Hold on to tomorrow's promise, or use it to try to save the present. There is yet another factor that makes everything more delicate: Kuminga's own physical situation. It is no use if the market sees value in him, if the player is on the fringes of the rotation, dealing with pain and unable to show on the court what he is capable of doing. The knee tendinitis that bothers him is not just a medical note on a report. It is the kind of situation that makes a general manager, an owner, and a coach ask themselves whether it is worth taking the risk now or whether it is better to wait, praying that the condition improves and his market value goes back up. In the meantime, the team loses precious time from the final phase of its main star's career. The coach's recent comments about Kuminga do not convey much reassurance. By saying that the player is not moving well and that there is no clear timetable for his return, he shines a light on something nobody wanted to admit. The plan to turn the youngster into an increasingly valuable asset may be taking a hit precisely at the moment when the club most needs options. It is as if the franchise were standing at a crossroads. On one side, keeping patience, rebuilding the player physically and mentally, and betting that he will break out right there. On the other, accepting him as he is, and putting him in a trade anyway, running the risk of selling for a price below what would be ideal. And even with this uncertain scenario, there is one organization that does not seem to be so scared by the forward's physical situation: the Sacramento Kings. For some time now, there has been talk that their front office is willing to listen to offers for practically the entire roster, especially veterans on heavy contracts, as long as you do not touch a few strategic pieces. The message is clear. They want to reorganize the core around a few untouchables, and to do that, they are open to aggressive negotiation. For a team like Golden State, which needs immediate impact, that kind of openness is an invitation. Talks between the Warriors and the Kings did not start now. During the offseason, there was already a sketch of a trade with Kuminga as the main piece. But the offer on the table was too timid to be taken seriously. A bench scorer, a rookie still in his adaptation phase, and a protected first-round pick. It is an interesting package, but clearly below what a player with all-star potential can fetch if he is at his peak. The general feeling was that Golden State, at that moment, was still not ready to pull that trigger. The team knew that if it was going to move on from Kuminga, it would have to be for something much bigger. That is where the name that, on its own, changes any conversation comes in. Domantas Sabonis. According to behind-the-scenes reports, one of the possibilities floated would be a much bigger deal involving multiple players and possibly even draft picks. In a scenario like that, Golden State's package could include Kuminga, Moses Moody, a veteran shooting wing, and maybe a young rotation big to match salaries. In return, Sacramento would send Sabonis, the center who racks up double-doubles on a routine basis, and Keon Ellis, a high-energy guard, strong perimeter defender, and with the potential to grow in a structured system. Sabonis is no unknown to anyone who follows the league closely. His game is built on strength in the paint and an exceptional feel for the game. He is not just the rebounder who dominates the glass and guarantees second chances. He is also the passer who runs the offense from the high post, the player who turns a simple handoff into a deadly action, punishing distracted defenses and finding open shooters on the perimeter. In a system based on constant movement, screens, and off-ball cuts, the idea of a big man who sees the game at that level is extremely seductive. Of course, the criticism shows up. Many fans and analysts hammer the same points. Sabonis is not an elite defender. He is not an intimidating rim protector. And on top of that, he is coming off a knee issue that scared part of the market. There are those who say that investing heavily in a player with this profile is a recipe for disaster, especially in a conference full of physically dominant bigs. But when you look at it calmly, the picture is not that simple. Tactical intelligence also matters. Positioning, coverage reads, defensive communication, all of that can compensate for some athletic limitations when you play next to a defensive specialist like Golden State's main leader. In practice, imagining Sabonis wearing a Warriors jersey is imagining an even more refined offense. You can picture the big man stepping up to set a strong screen on the perimeter, holding the contact, spinning his body, and presenting the perfect passing lane for the ball handler who has just drawn two defenders. Instead of always relying on forced drives or contested shots, the team would have a center who can catch the ball at the top of the key, look around, and find the best cut, the best back door, the best open shooter in the corner. That would not only make life easier for the perimeter star, it would also expand the comfort zone of the role players. From a front court standpoint, Sabonis's presence would bring something Golden State has been chasing for years: consistency. Night after night, knowing that you can count on 12 or 13 rebounds, steady scoring in the 18 to 22-point range, and a big who does not vanish from the game when the shot is not falling is a luxury. In the playoffs, when every possession becomes a war, having someone who secures offensive boards, draws fouls, protects the ball, and still finds teammates cutting to the basket is the kind of difference that can swing a series. That is the kind of impact that makes some fans answer yes, without hesitation, when someone asks if it is worth sending Kuminga and other young players for the Lithuanian. But not everyone sees it that way. There is a portion of the fan base that refuses to accept the idea of giving up so many young players and a potentially brilliant future for a center who, although excellent, is not at the very top of the league's superstar list. In that view, the risk would be disproportionate. If it goes wrong, the team is left without the generation that could sustain the post-championship core era and at the same time stuck with a big contract that is hard to move. It is a big bet, almost an all or nothing. And that kind of decision tends to create internal division, both among fans and inside the franchise's own offices. It is no coincidence that other scenarios are also circulating in the underground conversations. One of them involves Sacramento again, but with a different approach. Instead of aiming straight at Sabonis, Golden State could look for a combination of pieces that, together, solve several problems at once. Names like Keon Ellis, Malik Monk, and Daniel Gafford come up in hypotheses like this. Monk would bring instant scoring and three-point shooting off the bench, something that has always been highly valued in the team's offensive system. Ellis would add perimeter defense and energy on the ball. Gafford, in turn, would offer physical presence as a rim protector and a constant lob threat. In theory, a package like that would make the rotation deeper, more balanced, and more athletic. You bolster the defense, gain firepower in the secondary offense, and still add a center who can run the floor and finish simple plays near the rim. The problem is that, in practice, putting three good players together does not automatically mean reaching the impact level of an established star. It is that old debate. Is it better to have one star and fill out the roster with cheaper pieces, or to spread the value across several solid but unspectacular names? Golden State, which has always lived a lot off chemistry and the sum of the parts, knows better than anyone the weight of that choice. There are also other, bolder proposals that involve franchises like the Clippers and the Pelicans in multi-team trades. Imagine a scenario where Golden State joins a three-way deal, with a veteran mid-range scorer ending up in Los Angeles, a center with good defensive credentials leaving there for San Francisco, and promising youngsters swapping jerseys along the way. Or an aggressive move for an elite wing, someone of Trey Murphy's caliber, alongside a big like Ivica Zubac, and a seasoned veteran like Nicholas Batum to bring more playmaking and spacing. They are constructions that, on paper, make any fan's eyes light up. In real life, though, not everything that looks incredible actually happens. For the Pelicans to accept parting with a piece with all-star potential and still a reliable center, the return would have to be almost irresistible. And the front office there often makes decisions that defy logic, which makes everything even more unpredictable. The same goes for any team involved. Each franchise has its own internal pressure, its own anxious owner, its own medium-term plan. Fitting all those interests into a single deal is a task that borders on impossible. While the rumors spread, there is one truth that cannot be ignored. Inside Golden State itself, Jonathan Kuminga is still seen with enormous affection and expectation. The team's leadership, especially the higher-ups, see in him not just a good player, but someone who, in a few years, could be in star conversations around the league. Is it possible that this vision is a bit exaggerated? Yes. Passionate fans, coaches, and executives often see more than the player has shown so far. But that does not change the fact that, for many in there, trading Kuminga feels almost like admitting that the generational transition project has failed. Deep down, this whole saga comes down to a conflict of timelines. The clock on the career of the team's main star runs at one pace. The clock on the development of a young, still inconsistent wing runs at another, and the NBA does not wait for anyone. If Golden State decides to keep Kuminga, it is betting that it can both compete at a high level now and polish the player until he explodes as a leading man. If it chooses to trade him, it is saying that the present is worth more than any future projection, even if that means seeing the kid become a star in another jersey. Either choice will carry an emotional and sporting cost that will be hard to swallow. That is why, with every rumor, with every report mentioning a possible offer, the fan base swings between excitement and fear. Some dream of seeing a dominant big arrive and turn the team into an immediate title contender. Others shudder, just imagining Kuminga dunking on defenders' heads for another franchise, while Golden State laments what could have been. There is no simple answer. There is no path that pleases everyone. There is only one certainty. Whatever the decision is, it will shape the next few years of the franchise. The basketball world is buzzing with rumors that could change the NBA landscape. According to recent reports, the Golden State Warriors are quietly moving their pieces to bring in Kai Sotto, a highly promising Filipino center, for the 2025 season. This potential signing would not only be a strategic reinforcement for the roster, but also an important milestone in the sport, further strengthening the team's connection with the growing international fan base, especially in the Philippines. Standing at 218 meters, Kai Sotto is a player who naturally stands out on any team, but his presence is not just about his imposing height. He possesses a set of technical skills that catch the eye of experts and make him a valuable asset for any NBA team. On defense, his reaction time and wingspan allow him to protect the rim efficiently, making it difficult for opponents to finish at the basket. On offense, he goes beyond the traditional center play inside the paint, scoring effectively from mid-range, a skill that has become essential in modern basketball. His ability to space the floor and be an offensive threat from different areas is one of the factors that make him such an intriguing prospect. Kai Sotto's basketball journey is also worth highlighting. Born in the Philippines, a country passionate about the sport, he attracted attention early on due to his height and talent. However, what truly made the difference was his determination to seek professional growth in more competitive leagues. Still young, he left his homeland and ventured into international basketball. His first major experience was in the NBL, Australia's basketball league, where he faced top-tier opponents and proved his value as a key contributor on both defense and offense. His ability to impact games in crucial moments helped him build a solid reputation. After his time in the NBL, he moved on to Japan, playing in the B-League, where he continued to rise. In the Japanese league, Kai Sotto established himself as one of the top players in the competition, boosting not only his career, but also the visibility of Filipino basketball on the global stage. His presence in the league helped open doors for other talents from his homeland, showing that a future in the NBA was possible. With each step in his career, Kai Sotto became not just a promising player, but also a symbol of perseverance and inspiration for millions of young people who dream of following the same path. His journey reflects the importance of hard work and the constant pursuit of improvement, something that certainly does not go unnoticed by NBA scouts. If signed by the Golden State Warriors, Kai Sotto would have the opportunity to play in a system that values ball movement, agility, and player versatility. The team, which built its identity with a dynamic playing style and efficient shooting, has always felt the need for a dominant center who could reinforce their defense and contribute offensively. With his ability to grab rebounds and quickly start fast breaks, Kai could be a key piece to enhance the Warriors' fast-paced play. Additionally, his defensive presence would help close off spaces and protect the rim better, an area the team needs to improve to remain competitive in the conference. But Kai Sotto's importance to the Warriors goes beyond the technical impact. His arrival would represent an even stronger connection between the franchise and the large Filipino community in the Bay Area, one of the largest outside the Philippines. This would create a cultural and emotional bond with a fan base passionate about basketball, making the team even more global. The presence of a Filipino player on a top NBA team wouldn't just be a sports advancement, but also a symbolic move that highlights the diversity of the league. Kai Sotto would become an ambassador for Filipino basketball on the international stage, showing that his homeland's talent can compete at the highest level. Additionally, his popularity could attract new sponsors and open up new marketing opportunities for the Warriors, increasing the franchise's visibility in the Asian market. With a legion of fans in the Philippines and other countries, Kai Sotto would help further strengthen the team's brand, creating an impact that goes beyond the basketball courts. If you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like to support and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates on the Golden State Warriors. Hit the bell to get notifications and leave a comment to let us know what you think. Thanks, and see you next time.